Hello and welcome to the PodKlast radio show.
Hey guys, we are back, week 3. Well, week 4 if you count the 1-year anniversary live stream as part of this whole streaming quarantine experience. We've been live streaming for a month now. Woo! And to celebrate that special occasion, we are going to have a very, I guess in some ways, chill episode tonight. There's no special guest. There's no long hour and a half podcast interview things. And hopefully there's not going to be any technical errors or something of the such. Just me bullshitting, basically, is what's going to be happening here. If you don't know, there's been some recent, I'll say minor controversies in the punk sphere and the punk community because the things themselves aren't the most egregious things. They don't hurt people. It's just, it really irked me the wrong way, and I saw that online. It irked other people the wrong way too, and other people it didn't really irk them the wrong way. And so I'm going to be talking about that controversy. But let's not focus on that. Again, we're just having a chill, semi 1 month kinda anniversary show. No Dave getting drunk off his ass and talking about an entire album for almost an hour. But yeah, again, this is just a chill session, and what better music to go along to a chill session than Rick? And if you don't know who Rick is or what the band Rick is, you should know I am totally setting up for a punchline here. Here is the chillest band I know, Rick. That was Sodium to My Brain by Rick. Ha ha ha. Obviously a very chill, relaxed band. Oh man. There are actually some really cool cats. Oh my god, I just said cool cats. Jesus Christ, am I I've been watching way too much YMS, but there's some cool guys in that band. We've talked to them before. Kind of flirted with having them on and doing a release with them, but ultimately things have kind of chilled out, and it's just they're just a nice band that I want to shout out. Again, the vibe of this show tonight is pretty chill, pretty relaxed, except for the part in the main event where I get pretty pissed off at Fat Mike and Fat Records. But again, we'll get to that in a bit. I just want to talk about something we have that's new before we get into the major podcast portion of the radio show, and that is if you go down, it's in our Instagram bio, the link in our Instagram bio too, but you could also go down in the video description of this exact video and click on, I believe the first link you see is a Google Doc where we give shoutouts to a whole bunch of people that we love in the community and that I've found through my platform here, being the co-owner of Klast Records. And it's some of these bands are kind of major. You may have heard of them, and some of them I know you haven't heard of because they have literally 20 followers on Instagram and barely any hits on Bandcamp. So, but the one thing all these guys have in common, all these bands have in common, and not all of them are bands, I'll say. Some of them are just artists and stuff like that. Some of them are other things. You can check it out for yourself. It's a really cool Google Doc. But all these bands and people have in common is that they are really great and they're doing something different with their music and they are really worth checking out. So if you want some new music, kind of spice up your playlist, spice up your listening, go down to the description of this video and click on the Google Doc shoutout link, and it's just an entire list of people with links to their music, so you don't have to, it's not just like a list of names and then you have to type it in on Google or Spotify or Instagram or something like that. I've completely optimized it for you so you could see, oh, this has a weird band name. Click on it, instantly go to their music or their Instagram page or something like that. You can listen to them. And if you like them, give them a follow. Maybe consider supporting them because, again, I know we've been in this situation for over 2 months now, but it doesn't mean it hasn't gotten better financially for these artists who really depend on the live shows, especially to sell their merch and to sell their albums and to make a living. And obviously, with the coronavirus and quarantine, we can't have live shows right now. And so I just thought it would be great not only to shout these guys out and get more eyes on their stuff, but also they do have really quality stuff, all of these guys. Trust me, I made this list, I curated it. I feel as if I have a pretty good musical taste, a good sense of music. I know there's some naysayers who are gonna call bullshit on that, but I mean, seriously, these are really great artists that, if anything, deserve your time to at least listen to one of their songs and maybe deserves a couple extra bucks to get some merch. Just saying. Just saying. And that's probably the closest we'll ever get to an advertisement type segment on this show. But one more thing I'm going to shout out before we talk about other things. We have an animated intro now. If you didn't catch at the beginning, you could scroll back to the beginning if you're watching this live and you missed on it. We have a great animation that is synced up to our audio intro that we usually do, and that was done by my good friend Noah, who you could find online on Instagram as IntricaZ. I believe it is INTRIKA_Z. I may be wrong on that, but I believe he will be linked down in the description as well. And if he's not linked in the description, he is linked on the Google Docs, so you could find IntricaZ. He is looking to do more animations, do more. He's currently animating a music video for this one really cool band that I forgot the name of, but I'm really hyped to see that because he's really just getting his footing in the animation world, and all of it looks fluid and amazing. And as you can see from the intro right there, I mean, it's pretty fluid work. It's not crappy first year animation school type stuff. It's really good quality stuff. So yeah, he also does music. You can check out his Instagram. It basically has everything on it. But boom, shoutouts and plugs aside. Oh, controversy. Why don't we have a guest this week? Why is it just Miles talking about controversy? Well, if you don't know, Fat Wreck Chords, well, if you don't know Fat Wreck Chords is kind of like Epitaph, but not as big as Epitaph. Just a independent punk label that got really big, especially from, they kind of they're one of the two labels, Epitaph included, that pioneered and really popularized skate punk. They host Lagwagon, No Use for a Name, all those guys, Strung Out. If you don't know Fat, you could look them up. Basically, if you know skate punk, you know Fat, and you also know NoFX, who the lead singer is Fat Mike, who runs Fat Records. And the conversation I have in this podcast audio clip I'm going to show you, it doesn't really revolve that much around Fat Mike. I just want to say I don't have any qualms really with Fat Mike's character and his personal life and what he does. It's more just about how he runs his business, and it's more about the business end of Fat Records and kind of the business end of punk labels and really the responsibility of a label. This podcast, it's 30 minutes, and it's me kind of just explaining everything. It does start out with me talking about the controversy and saying that's bullshit. Oh shit, I totally skimmed over what the controversy is. Basically they're doing a logo redesign contest where they don't pay the artist any royalties. Fat Wreck is literally doing a contest where the winner gets their redesigned logo of the traditional Fat logo on a limited run t-shirt sale, but they don't get any royalties from that t-shirt. The only thing they get from it is a $100 gift card to the Fat Records online store, which I talk about more in depth in this podcast. But yeah, it's bullshit. But if that sounds intriguing, stay tuned for the next 30 minutes. And if it doesn't, then come back at around like 8:50, because we got more really sick, heavy, extreme metal type music, metalcore, grind metal, whatever it is. It's fucking heavy and metal. And then after that, we have the winners of the Klast Records logo redesign contest, which is a parody, obviously, of the controversy and situations that have unfolded in the past week. And then, as always, we will end with a live Q&A. So again, if you want to skip the podcast, come back to the stream at 8:50, or if you're watching this on DVR, I will have time codes set up in the description, so you could click on a time code there. But if you are interested in really learning why, like, what's the responsibility of a punk label or a label, or really just the punk community in general, and you want to get a little bit more, I guess, philosophical, quote unquote, and hear a nice discussion and a nice point of view on that, then stay tuned, because we have this fucker talking about these fuckers. We need your help for a merch design for our fall tour. Send your ideas and we'll choose one lucky winner for the Max Bemis design. Winner will receive 2 tickets to the show of their choice and 10 copies of the tee. Email designs to sayanythingmerchcontest@gmail.com. Deadline is August 23rd. Design a shirt for us. Submit your design to turnovermerch@gmail.com by May 20th. One design will be chosen for a merch item, and all proceeds will be donated to a food bank. After 30 years in the biz, we thought it might be fun to give the Fat logo a little makeover. So whether you're a kindergarten level finger painter or modern day Michelangelo, break out your crayons, magic markers, spray paint, etc. and take a stab at creating a reimagined version of our classic crest. We'll be sharing all the ones we like on our Instagram over the coming weeks. We'll also do a limited run t-shirt with the logo that we deem to be the ultimate masterpiece. And throw in $100 Fat gift card, yada yada yada. Oh my god, what bullshit is happening? Hello, let's talk about punk, the music industry, and record labels. Whee! So, look, guys, here's the deal. I read excerpts from Turnover Merch, or Turnover, whatever the fuck, I've never heard of them. Say Anything, I assume, another label, and Fat Records, which I'm more versed in. I get these three labels and their little design contest. I got them all from Youth Energy on Instagram. Here, let me pull up his full on Youth X Energy on Instagram. Really great artist, merch guy who actually exudes punk ethics and calls people out on this bullshit. And that's what it precisely is, bullshit. And so, if you haven't really got it, basically, these three punk labels or punk merch stores, again, I don't really know anything about Say Anything or Turnover Merch. I'm well more versed in Fat Wreck and all that shit, but they are doing merch design contest over this quarantine corona season. And you may think initially, well, what's the problem? You know, it's just a merch design contest. Like, what's the deal with that? What's not punk about that? You're being a little bullshit, whiny gatekeeper. I don't even know what you're thinking in your head, but let me just break this down for you, okay? And I don't know how long this is gonna get. I don't know if I'm gonna ramble. I don't know how many tangents there's gonna be because again, don't know that much about Say Anything. Don't know that much about Turnover Merch, but I know way too much about Fat and Fat Mike, so I could get into a lot of stuff there. Who knows? But let's just see where it takes us. I'm gonna start by explaining the bullshit in a merch designing contest, especially when it's rigged up like this. And I'm going to start with an example. 35 years ago, Fat Wreck Chords was started up by Fat Mike of NoFX. If you've never heard of them, Google NoFX, Google Fat Mike, Google Fat Wreck Chords. Basically, along with Bad Religion and Epitaph, the one of the grandfathers of skate punk, modern skate punk, I guess. I know JFA is really the grandfather of skate punk and yada yada, but you know what I mean. Like modern, classic 90s skate punk and the continuation of that into the scene in 2020 was started by Epitaph, Bad Religion, NoFX, Fat Records, that kind of whole scene. So if you don't know about that, just do a quick Google search, listen to some music, listen to Punk and Drublic or something like that, and you'll get a really nice sense of things. But basically, 35 years ago, Fat Records started up in Fat Mike's basement or whatever as a really small DIY record label. And even at that time, Epitaph was still a really small DIY record label run by Greg Graffin, if I remember correctly. Greg runs Epitaph, maybe? I don't know. What? Maybe not Graffin. Maybe there's another Greg, but okay. So it started up 35 years ago, and Fat Mike supposedly called or telegrammed or what the fuck ever Dan Seitz, who is a local legend, especially in the California punk scene, as a really amazing artist. You could see his work in some of the nardcore bands back in the 80s, specifically with RKL. I believe his most prominent work with them was, I don't know if he drew up the first iteration of the Beanie Boy, but he definitely did Return to Slimy Valley and not Return to Slimy Valley. It's a Beautiful Feeling, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I should have really pulled some shit up right here. But basically, TLDR for you folks, Dan Seitz is an artistic design legend in the California punk scene. So Fat Mike, obviously, starting this new label, calls up Dan Seitz and presumably goes, hey, can you design a logo for us? And so Dan Seitz designed a logo which became the world recognized, renowned Fat Wreck logo that has been with the company for 35 whole years now. And this was a commission by Fat Mike where Dan Seitz got paid $50 to design the logo. And that's it. We have a quote from Dan on Instagram. He says, "I think I got paid $50 to design that logo," the normal Fat Wreck logo. "I've seen it all over the fucking world for 30 years, which is pretty awesome. Thank you and congrats." If you can't pick up on the tones of sarcasm and irony in that sense, and if you don't know how money or fair treatment works, basically Dan got screwed. Because for $50, Fat Mike has been able to use his artwork forever and take it around the world, which is cool and is nice to see your own art be taken around the world and all that. But whenever your art is being put on every single piece of merch, every single album release, basically every single monetizable thing a company has done for the last 35 years, a company who is very financially stable until about the late 2000s, but has still been able to run and release music and still make a decent enough profit to make Fat Mike a rich old pig, you kind of think, well, I should have gotten more compensation for this. But the nature of a commission is that it's initial payment, and then the person who asks for the commission gets to use that art as much as they want and in any sense of as they want. It's basically a small fee for someone to make something that you now own, not the creator. And I understand that that whole commission thing is how it naturally goes and how it goes elsewhere, but it's kind of fucked up in the punk scene. And that example gets me to where we're at now. Because Fat Wreck is essentially asking for people to do nearly free commissions. I mean, what Fat is specifically doing and what these other labels that I talked about, Say Anything and Turnover Merch, are doing basically commission challenges. Hey, all you artists, spend a lot of time and energy making a really sick logo. We're going to pick one of them. Fuck all of you other artists who spent all your time and energy trying to make a logo. There's only going to be one guy who gets it. And I know that's just like kind of the nature of competition, but it is kind of like, you screwed these people out of their time, you know, if they really thought they had something good going now, and it's not like they could put that on their own website or put that on their own merch or something like that or monetize that work they made, because you are totally going to sue them for using the Fat Records name and using a variation of their logo. So yeah, it is kind of, in a sense, screwing all those artists who don't get picked as the one who wins the competition. But you're also screwing the winner of the competition. And it's not in such a major way as Dan Seitz, but it's still enough to piss me off. And I hope it pisses you guys off too. And I hope you realize the bullshit of this. Because here's the fine reading of it. We'll do a limited run t-shirt with the logo that we deem to be the best. So the winner gets a limited run t-shirt with their logo on it. How exciting. How cool. My own artwork on Fat Mike's amazing, legendary record label on t-shirts so everyone could buy them. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna be famous. I'm gonna make so much money, I'm gonna be rich and famous, and everyone's gonna love me. Except no, because they never talk about royalties. They never talk about even giving you one of the shirts that you designed. They said, we're going to take your logo that you made for us, we are going to put it on a t-shirt, do a small run of those t-shirts, and then we're not going to give you any of the profits from that t-shirt. We're going to keep all the profits from that t-shirt to ourselves, which is way more than what Fat is actually giving the winner, because what Fat is giving the winner is a $100 gift card. And do you want to guess where that $100 gift card is to? It's to the Fat Wreck online store. That means that you can only spend that gift card at Fat Wreck Chords digital store. You could only use it to buy Fat Wreck merch, and it's only $100. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. I've groomed my dogs and trimmed shit out of their fur for almost the price that these people get. One of these people, again, everyone else who spent all their time and energy thinking they made an amazing logo, fuck you. You can't even use it anywhere else because they're going to sue you. So that's just time and energy wasted. Put it in a portfolio, but you can't make money out of that. And right now, especially because it's quarantine and corona, and you're a young, striving artist who hasn't really made it big enough, who is now working on these these contests to try to make a name for yourself, you really need that money right now. And the winner needs this money too. That's if they pick a small-time artist, because they may just pick a big-time artist and screw every small-time artist who thought this was their chance to be popular, get a little bit of a boost from Fat Wreck, and get some money to help get them past the season. But no, because you know what? You can't pay your water bills with a $100 gift card and a thank you. And you can't pay your water bill with your logo and your artwork being put on someone else's shirt that none of the royalties are going to go to you. And you especially can't pay your water bills if you don't even get picked, but you still spend all your time, well, not all your time, a lot of your time and energy working on this design. Time and energy you could have spent elsewhere working on designs that you personally hold the right to, that you could monetize and make money off by yourself. It's absolute bullshit. And I know that's how commissions work, okay? I know that's the nature of commissions, but commissions, as they normally are in the punk rock world, and even in any fair, logical, compassionate world, should not exist, especially when it comes to small-time struggling creators, because they need that money, and they need that money more than they need any exposure. I'll give it to you like this. For this radio show, we are soon going to have a new animated intro, animated by my dear friend. I don't know if I should call him by his stage name or whatever. I'm just going to call him Noah. I won't give his last name. By my dear friend Noah, you could find him on Instagram at EntricaZ. I'm pretty sure I'll have him linked somewhere. And I am giving him, it's basically a commission. I am giving him $40 to animate a 10-second intro for the PodKlast radio show, the show you're listening to right now, obviously. But it doesn't stop there, because if/when this show gets monetized, or if there is any money that comes out of the videos that his animated intro is on, I am going to pay him. Now, the percentage isn't worked out so far, because as of yet, this isn't monetized. In fact, most of the label, I could talk, I'll get into it later about how the money side of our label works, but as of right now, this show, no money is going through it. But at the time that money is going through it, money is going to definitely go to Noah, because his animated work is being on a video that is monetized, and it's not fair for me to just pay him $40 and say, that's it. It's fine. No, because if I'm making money off of something that he's on, he deserves a cut of it. That's just fair. Especially, it's fair whenever it's a local, very small DIY business who is having money problems as it is, but it's even more fair when it's Fat Wreck Chords, one of the biggest punk labels ever. They should definitely have no problem giving away 30, 40, 50%, even 20, 10%, just some type of royalties to the person who is making these shirts, who is making the design of these shirts, who otherwise, without his design, these shirts wouldn't be selling. Instead of just giving him a $100 Fat Wreck gift cards, because trust me, if he was making royalties off of these shirts, he'd be making way more than $100, and you know that, and you should know that's bullshit. Because in punk, there's a thing called solidarity, and in a nice, compassionate, fair world, there's a thing called solidarity. And you know what that means? That means realizing that we're all stuck in the same bullshit. That is realizing your history and feeling empathy and compassion for people who are not high on the totem pole like you are. And that's the one thing that really gets me, is why can't these bigger people, these bigger labels, these bigger artists do anything to help out the smaller artists? Because these contests, these design contests, royalties and money aside, the design contests are not going to do anything to boost the resume, portfolio, or just overall audience or interest in any of these artists. It's really not. I mean, they are putting some of the designs on their Instagram, but that's only going to get you a few more followers, and really that doesn't amount to jack shit, you know? Instead, they could be like, wow, here's at blah blah blah, and like talk about that and talk about their portfolio and stuff. Really give them a shining spotlight, or at least make a list of people with their ads, put it on a Google Drive so that people know, and like have their designs connected so people know who made what and they have a nice, thorough list of it. That would be fine enough. If you also fix the monetizable issue, because they really should be getting royalties from this. And it irks me. It irks me that, because I try, and Q really tries to shine a spotlight on the DIY underground bands and guys that we know and love, that we want to support and help give a rub off to. Because yeah, there's a decent amount of bands we know, a lot of bands we know in the DIY scene who are bigger and have more of a platform than us. But there is still smaller guys who only have like one release on Bandcamp or one release on SoundCloud, who are really just starting out, but whose music and whose personality and whose just overall everything about their character and about their art is amazing and deserves for people to be known. And they're struggling right now, and I know what it's like to struggle. Because as we are right now, we only have 288 followers on Instagram. And I know for some of you that may seem big, for some of you that may seem small. I think about half of the bands on our label have more followers and more of an audience than us, which is a weird dynamic. But it's not the hardest struggle, but it is still somewhat of a struggle to get an audience. And so I know what it's like to be even lower than that and to not be connected with other more popular artists, not to have like a Dairokin or someone connected to you, just to be on your own, not being spotlighted by anyone, only having like 20, 30 followers. I know what that's like, and I want to help people out of the struggle. That's why in every YouTube video I have the recommended like random check this band thing. And it's not always like some band that's bigger than us. Most of the time I try to make it some really cool band I found with like no online presence, with like one release on Bandcamp, because they need those eyeballs more on their stuff than everyone else does. Those really low tier struggling artists, like the bottom of the DIY, who are just trying to make it big, and especially the people who are trying to make a living and trying to like make money off of all of this, they need it more than anything. And that's what irks me about these contests, because they are designed to use the people who are in that situation. They're designed to use those people for their art and for their skills, but not pay them for it. It's using the disempowered. It's using the disenfranchised. Probably use the word disenfranchised in the wrong sense, but you get what I mean. These contests are targeting those people who are bottom of the barrel. And I see people hire people with more of a following and who have steady money rolling in. I see them submitting to these contests too, but it's not really them. It's the lower tier people who are being targeted, the people who have these talents and who have really great skills and artwork but aren't being found yet because they think this is their time to shine, this is their time to make money off of this, this is a light at the end of the tunnel, but it's not, and they're being duped, and they're not going to get any monies off of those t-shirts. They're only going to get $100 to a company that's making the t-shirts. It's bullshit. And it's not punk rock. And I hope you guys all understand this, and I hope you know where I'm coming from. And just to be completely frank, I will spell out how we do business, because I don't want you guys to assume we're hypocrites, because I know what it's like. I know there's a whole thing about business and the scene. And I know there's some thoughts that bubble in some people's heads when you say you're a label. People don't like labels, generally. I know a decent amount of people in, like, the DIY punk scene who frown upon labels, even smaller labels, not just Fat Wreck and Epitaph and people like that, but small-time labels like me and others, like Klast and all that stuff. Small-time labels, people frown upon it just because of how they perceive a record label to be, but we try to do what we think a record label should do, and that is give everything we can to these bands. Our job as Klast Records is to do as much for these bands and for the fans as we can. We are not solely focused on being our own entity. Yeah, we like to have the whole keep laughing and start your day. We like to have our own radio show. We like to have all of this kind of stuff, the logos and all of that. But all of that is very secondary and directed towards building up the bands and helping the bands as much as we can. And I'll give you an example of how we do that. The way we work monetarily, especially, let's say a band comes to us and they're really chill and they have great music and they say, hey, we want to release 100 CDs. Once we have the budget to fund those 100 CDs, we fund all of it. We pay for the entire release, fully funded by us. We strive to make it so the bands don't have to pay anything. Bands just record the music and then we could fund the rest. They don't have to worry about shipping. They don't have to worry about the cost of printing out these CDs or handling them. That we strive to do all of that on our own because we know how challenging and taxing it can be, especially the guys who are on the low tier of the podium, to do that themselves, and to make the CDs and releases look good. We pay entirely for the CDs. And then after that, all of the profits made from those CDs are split 50-50. Because we think that's the fairest option. And I know some people are going to be aghast and taken aback. 50-50? Oh my god. Like, it's not supposed to be 50-50. That's not fair. It should be lower on your end and higher on the band's end. And I understand that. It's just there's two things. One, and this is not as important, we pay for the entire CD release. I know some people will think that's the most important thing, but to me, it's really not. It's the second thing that's more important, and the real reason why we do that 50-50 split is because none of the money none of that 50% that goes back to us is ever used for personal use. That is still the band's money and still everyone on the label's money. It's just we have it. Because all of that money just goes back into the pot for the next release. All of the money we make from everything goes back into our funds to be used for the next release. So let's say Dairoken wants to print out 300 CDs. We print out 300 CDs, sell them $10 a pop. That's $3,000. Split that two ways. Dairoken gets $1,500. We get $1,500. That $1,500 is then used to fund the next 2 or 3 releases that we have coming up. It could fund a Unoya CD. It could fund a Stain CD. Who knows? Who cares? It's not like that $1,500 is being used to buy us Taco Bell or whatever, or buy new comforters or video games or movies or an Xbox or whatever. No. All of the money we get goes right back to the bands because literally everything we do is for the bands or the fans. It is either to entertain you guys, the fans, or it is to build up or entertain too, because I know most of the guys on the label listen to this and they are entertained by it, but we really try to build up and help out the bands as much as we can. Now there's a caveat to that. We won't work with every single band. We only work with people who we deem not assholes, who have cool music that we like. So basically, hey, I guess this could kind of be turned into a pitch, although I'm kind of comfortable with the amount of bands we have on the label right now. But hey, if you are a new band, or even an old band, because like look at Dairoken, they're in their double digits now. But if you are a band who is not full of assholes and who has cool music, send a demo over to us. Send an album. DM us a link. Email us, klastrecords@gmail.com. Like, hey, I guess I might as well shoot that out there. But that's how we work. Everything we do to build up the bands, and to build up their audience and to make more fans come to their shows. And I'm really proud of the interview with Dave because in the interview he talks about since coming on with us, things have started, like the ball has started rolling more. And I know I can't say that's entirely due to us. Like that is still due a lot to the band and to the Vero Beach scene and to the really nice people who support the Vero Beach scene and who are fans of Dairoken. But I know, like, we put their music on streaming. We promoted their music. We promote them to this day. We put them on our Halloween comp. We do interviews with them. We do cool shit with them. We promote their music videos. We do all of that jazz. And we do it with every single band because our goal and every single label's goal, I was going to say punk label, but every single label's goal, the goal of a record label is to be a tool for the bands. It is not for your personal gain. It is not to build your own personal audience unless that audience is being transferred over to the bands. A record label is a tool to make the bands that are good and have good people behind their great music. It is to make those people have a better living situation, or at least just more money coming in, to make things easier and to get them more exposure. That is your job as a label. And I don't know the inner workings of Fat. I can't say that they fail at that as a record label, but I could say in this one instance, with the design contest, they fail at that. And that's just the simple truth. And that's how I see it. You may see it in another way, but that is my takeaway from all of this. Now, I hope you guys appreciated this. I hope 30 minutes uninterrupted wasn't too much. And yeah, I will say this, because I know some people are going to be like, oh, you hypocrite, you don't shout out bands that aren't on your label enough. There will be a Google either drive or folder, no, either a drive or doc, I meant to say, down in the YouTube description that has a pretty big list of bands that aren't on the label who may be very small time or may be bigger than us, who I think you guys should support and check out, especially during the quarantine season when no one can play any shows. So anyways, let's throw it back to the live radio show. Peace.
Then how the fuck are you gonna change? Some start now. Not now, then when? Not then, then how the fuck are you gonna change? It's time to start today. Not now, then when? Not then, then how the fuck are you gonna change? It's time to start today. Not now, then when? Not then. The party gonna change. It's how to start today. Then when, then how the fuck are you gonna change? It's how to start today. It's how to start today. It's how to start today. It's time to start today. It's time to start today. Time to play yourself.
That was Pick Yourself by Terror in Resonance. By my account, the best metal band to ever come out of New Zealand, because they're the only metal band or band in general that I know that has come out of New Zealand. That makes me uncultured and kind of stupid. But hey, at least I know one band from New Zealand, and man, are those guys the shit. And I'm not gonna spoil too much, but we have been working something out with them, and I have heard some new music from them that's currently unreleased. And if you liked the more melodic aspects of that song, but still really dug the heavy aspects of that, you are going to really want to follow and stay up to date with their stuff, because they have some amazing songs coming out soon that I'm really excited about. And you could find them on Instagram. Just search up Terror and Resonance. If you search them up on Google, random anime from like the 90s will come up, because I guess that's where they got their namesake from. I don't know, I never asked about that, but yeah, search them up on Instagram. Really great guys. That EP, Plagued with Living, that the song came off of, is a really good EP, so I would advise you guys to listen to that if you want more songs that are in that type of metal vein, especially if you want to explore different metal than metal from like the United States, or for metal in your certain regions, something like that. Just kind of branch out. New Zealand metal, yeah, I didn't know it'd be that fucking good, but it is, and definitely keep up to date with them. So yeah, that was my conversation with myself about what started, about the controversy with Fat Red Chords, and eventually just turned into the the moral and ethical guidance of a label, I guess. What labels should do? What's the reason for a label? Why even have a label? Like, seriously, I could go on about it, but I don't want to go on about it too much anymore because the podcast is already over. But if you want to distribute other people's music in some form or another, either by having an official branded label or something like that, or make it something unofficial, just make sure you're doing it with the right intention, and that intention is to help out the bands. Okay? We don't need labels who are doing this for the label's sake, okay? Because that's bullshit, and that's where you end up with the controversies that Fat Wreck has done, and with this logo design contest. And Noah, I see you there in the comments. I'm gonna address what you said there in the comments, Intricacy. But I'm gonna address that in the Q&A outro segment. But because we're on the subject of logo design contest, if you didn't see it, which you probably didn't see it because you don't follow us on Instagram, follow us on Instagram, guys. There's cool shit happening all the time and lots of cool announcements. But if you didn't see, a couple days ago, or maybe it was just a straight up week ago, I can't really remember, we posted a parody of all these logo design contests, the Klast Records logo redesign challenge, up on our Instagram story. And here we have the entrance of the contest. So here you go.
And now,
Yeah, as you can see, one of those guys, specifically Daniel from Terror and Resonance, did not know that the challenge wasn't legitimate, and it was more of a joke, because his logo with the I mean, you know it's his logo because it's the one that looks good and isn't just a shit post. The one with the and sign and the typewriter font, keep laughing and start today. That's actually really good, and you will probably see some version of that somewhere on the label. I don't want to give it away, but we are using some ideas from that logo in the near future because I thought it was pretty sick. But everyone else there kind of got that it was a shit post. I guess I should announce a winner, but honestly, fuck that. The winner is everyone because whenever we work together, we all win. And that's kind of the moral of the story. Just work together, be compassionate. Jesus. God, I could really go on, and I know I'm probably being very nonsensical to everyone who doesn't know what's happening inside my mind right now and my train of thought, but compassion, guys, seriously, have compassion for each other. Literally, if every human had compassion for each other, none of this bullshit would be happening. And I don't even need to specify what bullshit, because any bullshit is most likely man-made, and that man-made bullshit is most likely the result of people not being compassionate and not caring about others. So fucking care about others. Care about your community. Jesus Christ. We call ourselves the punk scene. We call ourselves the punk community, but we're so divided and we don't care about each other and we don't help each other and we don't take care of each other. Come on, guys. Knock it off. Okay? I'm sick of this shit. That's really what that podcast boiled down to, and I'm kind of, now the cogs are rolling in my head. I guess maybe it's getting late and I'm more open mouth and stuff like that. But seriously, it just, why even call it a community? Why even call it a scene if you're not going to do things to help each other? If you're not going to shout each other out? If you're not going to financially help and provide for other people? If you're not going to lift other people up with you? If you're going to get to the top, you better bring your friends and your fans and the bands around you with you. You know, we're in this shit together, okay? Ugh. What the fuck am I talking about? It is so goddamn hot in here. I don't know what it's like for you guys who aren't in St. Louis, Missouri right now. But currently in St. Louis, Missouri right now, God really wants us to sweat our balls off. So, or Lucifer, or whatever the fuck. I don't know. Insert person who makes the weather in your life and do a Mad Lib. I don't know. I don't want to be like, oh, it's God. And then like someone in the comments is just like, I'm agnostic. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. we love everyone. Even the agnostics. The goddamn dirty agnostics. I don't know how to turn on the AC. I could have more open conversations with you because there's only 2 people watching right now. I guess this is going to be more intimate, at least in the live setting. Just to be really frank, the whole concept that the show is based around this week apparently isn't that popular and isn't really attention grabbing as the interviews and stuff. So we have only had 2 viewers throughout the live stream so far. So I get to be more down to earth. But if you're listening to this, if you're listening to this in the future when it's on DVR, you may want to pull up the live chat because I'm probably just going to have conversations with the people in the live chat right now. More than I already do. But anyways, now to the Q&A portion. We only had 2 questions on the Q&A portion because, again, everyone seemed tired of my shit this week. And so no one really turned out, and I'm not saying that with any spite in my voice or whatever, because this really is just a thing that I like to do for fun, and it was seriously cool having Dave on last week and seeing a lot of people interested in that, and especially seeing the re-uploaded podcast only version of the show where it's only my interview with Dave, seeing that get the most views that we've ever had on our channel ever is amazing, and that's nice. But then again, I don't know if you guys heard that, but my phone did a thing. Anyways, yeah, this is, even though we didn't have any technical issues, this is still falling apart, at least professionally. Oh, and we lost it. Oh, no, we got a viewer back. Okay, I was about to say, we lost a viewer. Oh, whatever. Okay, Intrica Noah, I want to talk to you about this thing, because you put in the comments, and I know you put it in a while ago, but I'm going to respond to it now, and if you don't hear this, I'll text you. But Intrica Noah, the guy who animated the intro, he said, I've been kind of wanting to throw my hand in making punk music. And that kind of leads me to a quick discussion I want to have, and that is, people, even if you suck ass at making music, still make music. Especially if you're in the punk community, because the punk community is really the most alternative music scene you could get. Obviously, there's more niche stuff, but the punk community is, I think it's safe to call it the most alternative and the most groundbreaking and open musical scene there is, at least in the sense of experimenting and trying something new. And I'll say this, and even if you suck at music, still, if you want to make a band, make a band. Even if you never played an instrument, if you want to make a band, make a band. Just fucking do it, guys. Because you know what? Have you ever heard of the one rapper, and I need to look him up right now. I'm not even, I can't even look him up because I forgot the title of his songs. But, there's a rapper who basically shit posted a lot of songs, just like crapped out a lot of songs. He was a bad rapper, and he just like made them for the like shits and giggles or whatever. And that was back in 2008, and I'll probably post his name somewhere whenever I'm not currently doing this live. But he, even though he was just shitting around and he didn't really know what he was doing, he basically invented cloud rap and SoundCloud rap to a degree, and basically he opened the gate to what the rap genre, or at least subsections of the rap genre, are right now. And that's a dude who definitely was not gifted and well versed in how to make rap music. And the same thing can be said for punk music. Look, not every single musical invention or successful experimentation needs to come from someone who knows what the fuck they're doing, because some seriously cool, wild shit could come from a kid just diddling on a guitar, and you could get new sounds there, and you could get no, I'm not talking about Future, I'm talking about this different guy. He's a shit poster. Future is a actual rapper, not the best rapper. But I'll fucking put a link in the bio. I can't fucking, it's like Lizard Man or whatever, Slizzard. I don't know. But no, basically, Noah, just fucking do it. Because you're a different case than what I'm talking about right now. I'm talking about people who aren't well versed in music and music production, but you are very much well versed and gifted when it comes to musical production, and you could bring something very new to the punk table, and that's exactly what we need right now, because we are kind of in this, at least the popular punk scene, or the punk scene as a whole, is kind of in this weird place where we're almost stagnant to a degree, and there's no truly groundbreaking ideas happening, unless you count Code Orange and their newest album, but that's more in the hardcore scene and not really with the punk scene, and that's more just the farthering of the blend of metal and hardcore, which is not something I'm really keen on, and I don't think it's the most adventurous thing ever. I think melodic hardcore was a lot more adventurous, but then again, melodic hardcore has started to get stale too, and I think, hell, dream punk psychedelic punk, psychedelic hardcore. Like, dude, there's a lot of things you could bring to the table that would sound really fucking cool. So basically, just like make punk music, okay? And like listen to I don't know if you listen to punk bands or not, but like turn on your favorite punk album, whether it be Green Day, Offspring, Misfits, Ramones, whatever, and kind of take the core of what they're doing and add your own twist and spin to it, and you're going to come up with some pretty cool shit, or at least I would assume you'd come up with some pretty cool shit, because again, your music is pretty whack in the good way. And I could like imagine your guitars and stuff like that over punk beat or a D beat or something like that. So basically, not only you, but everyone, make music now, okay? We already have too many bands in the scene, so we might as well add more. Like, we've already passed the threshold of what is too many bands and musicians, so we might as well keep on adding, keep on throwing shit at the wall until we see what sticks. And what sticks could quite possibly be the future of punk rock. Like, let's be serious here. Some kid who has no idea what he's doing could diddle something on the guitar and make the sound of a generation. I'm not bullshitting you. It's a real thing that could happen. And so just fucking make a band. God. Music, make a band. Do shit. You'll find something. Anyways, actual questions for the show. We have a bot who says, "Congratulations, you won an iPhone 11. Reply to claim." Not a question. I don't know how bots are finding our Instagram story, but whatever. And we have the same dude from last week, EVG Metal, saying the same exact thing on our questions slot on our Instagram story. Hi at Klast Records, then a smiley face emoji. Dude, dude, if EVG Metal, if you're going to keep on being like High Klast Records on our question board, then you might as well like friggin' watch the show and join in the show, man. I mean, if you're going to like try to make a false and plastic quote unquote business connection over Instagram, just put some effort into it and actually know who you're talking to and invest somewhat in what we are and what we do, you know, and maybe ask an actual question. Oh, and I think we have one more question from With Liberty. With Liberty is actually a really cool band who we've talked to sometimes. They made a really great Spotify playlist that features Dairoken on it, I believe now. But With Liberty band on Instagram, really cool guys, some really good punk rock there, really good music. I'm pretty sure they're on the Google Docs shoutout list, so you could find them there, or if not, With Liberty band on Instagram. Really great punk rockers, really great music. They said best binge shows, question mark. For me personally, the best binge show. I did have an Office phase for about a half a year, I think, maybe less, I think I finished it in 3 months, but for a quarter of a year, I had my Office phase. I still really like The Office, but even though I did binge it, I wouldn't think it's the best binge show because of just like, there is definitely a jump the shark type moment, and like the last 3 or 2 seasons, it really just kind of drags and just doesn't hit with the same energy and feelings as the first couple of seasons. Not to say that there aren't good episodes in the later seasons. It's just like basically SpongeBob Simpsons type syndrome, where they should have ended it earlier but they didn't, and so the writers had to scramble to keep things going, you know. But it was a satisfying conclusion. Other shows that I have binged, Naruto is a pretty good binge. The first 2 seasons. So Naruto has 3 seasons of the original show, and then Naruto Shippuden has just way too many seasons of the sequel show. And so I would suggest you watch all of the original Naruto, because the original Naruto is great. Although it's a bit slow, but it works if you have a lot of time and you're like really committed to the binge, because then the episodes will go by faster. I wouldn't do like a 1 episode a night type thing. I would definitely recommend actually binging it with confidence. But once you get to season 2 of the original Naruto show, it goes really good. And then I would just watch the first 2 seasons of Shippuden. Just like to see some good action and some good storylines. But then after that, it just drags on way too long. Like way too many animes do. And so that would be, I guess, a good binge. Another good binge, Cowboy Bebop. Only 1 season. Literally the best goddamn anime ever. I mean, there's so many, like, the best animes ever type list. And literally it's Cowboy Bebop at number 1. Only 1 season. 26, 25 episodes. Really quick to get through. And every episode is super fucking fun. Animation, really fucking fluid. The fighting, amazing. The music, amazing. Just watch best binge show, Cowboy Bebop. I know it's only 25 episodes, but it still was a good binge when I just recently watched it. Cowboy Bebop's great. If you're not going to listen to any of my other takes, if you're still going to run a terrible, self-centered record label, and you're not going to start a band, that's fine. Just watch Cowboy Bebop, okay? That's the one thing. Everyone watch Cowboy Bebop. It's great. But also make shitty bands and make record labels that are in it for the bands, not the label. Those are my 3 points, I think, of this show. And I did say I want this to be a shorter show, and I'm kind of out of things to say, and we've been going for a little over an hour now, so I think this is a good time to wind the show down. I don't want to go any longer because I'm really afraid of having a technical error, because I think this is the 1 week where we haven't had a technical error. Knock on wood for like the last minute or 2 of the show. But anyways, this has been the PodKlast radio show with your host, Miles from Klast. Next week, we are probably going to have an interview with the Stains, or the guys from Terror and Resonance, who you heard earlier, or maybe someone else, like Jay from Ninoy or something like that. Or maybe someone completely unrelated to the label. Who knows? It's really, we'll have to see in the coming week, but it's been really fun. Love hanging out with you guys. Love doing showcasing some music, talking some shit, and just having a good time. So see you guys later. Peace.